We are back at it after a great 4th of July. Very excited, very excited to do another paramedia activity show with my good buddy Travis Short. And why don't we get this thing fired up right now? Happy day after Independence Day to all of you out there. What a great 4th of July it was. Had a blast. Myself, our every Monday show now that we do our paramedia activity, stemming on the heels of our Warrior Mode show, which was another great one last night. And I can't do this show without my good buddy Travis Short, so I'm going to bring him on right now. Hey, there he is. What's up, bro?
How's it going, man?
Doing well, man. Feeling good. Like I said, day after the 4th, which today it seems like everybody really wants to do the fireworks. Doesn't that seem like something a little new? Do you ever remember everybody doing fireworks the day after the 4th?
Day before or day of? Day after was all. That's a new kind of thing, especially on a Monday. See, I get the the 4th was on a Sunday, and I get that for a lot of folks. They're still doing the church thing, and we had here in London, we had our fireworks display on Saturday, but we also had a community choir / band / orchestra presentation at one of the local churches at 7 o'clock Saturday night, and then yesterday that same church hosted Freedom Fest in this big ball field behind their sanctuary. So again, live music, food, games, fireworks, everything that was going off last night. So we had just a solid weekend of 4th of July Independence Day entertainment here in the great southeastern part of the state of Kentucky.
Yeah, I seen it, man. I was looking at your videos. Almost everything that you posted, I think I was all over it, man. I was like, wow, look at this. I seen some videos. You're talking hundreds of people were out, man, having a great time. That was amazing.
Yeah, the actual our big 4th of July celebration, Red, White, and Boom, which was Saturday. We had Pink Cadillac, which is a wedding band, cover band from Nashville, Tennessee. They came up. They were amazing. As a matter of fact, my new profile picture on Facebook is me with the 2 female lead singers of that.
Is that who that was?
That's who that is. That's
okay.
The 2 female lead singers from Pink Cadillac, and they were just amazing. I mean, they did everything from the 50s all the way up to Bruno Mars and The Weeknd and everything. I mean, it was just really fun. They got out in the crowd and got people dancing. My daughter danced for like an hour. And then we did we had 2 separate skydiving shows where they skydive and had the American flag trailing behind them. It was attached to through their bodysuits, and so it was waving in the sky. So they did that during the day, and then right to actually set off the fireworks when that skydiver landed, the moment his feet touched the ground, that's the very first rocket that shot up and set off the fireworks. So it's actually
that was cool.
Yeah, it was
synchronized.
Cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, very synchronized. It's the largest fireworks display in southeastern Kentucky, and we estimate College Park on the campus of Somerset Community College in Laurel County. We estimate around 4,500 people watching at that site, and then because of the proximity of the way that particular park is situated at the intersection of 192, 80 east-west, and 25 north-south, you have 3 major thoroughfares that meet. And all of the restaurants along that corridor, their parking lots were full of people. The roads were lined on both sides with people in their cars. watching the fireworks display. So the number actually, based on what law enforcement and EMS was telling us, probably around 10,000 people watching this fireworks display in a couple of mile radius. So just a really huge turnout, a lot of good fun, food, music, fireworks, and celebration of what the 4th of July is actually about.
Yeah, I think you guys covered it all. Like
we tried.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, you had everything. You guys had proper representation of all the local restaurants. I mean,
yeah.
I saw the feed that you did with the other gentleman who I think he hosts a particular radio show. You know who I'm talking about, right?
Well, let's see. It was a Facebook Live.
Yes, it was a Facebook Live.
That's probably City Council member Daniel Carmack. He's a good friend of
mine.
Oh,
yeah, that's who it was.
He and I sit on a lot of the same boards and same committees in the county and in the city. Mm-hmm. And typically, if we're at an event, he and I will always do a couple of Facebook Lives together. We play off each other really well. Mm-hmm. We joke with one another. He'll be in my shadow in some, and I'll be in his shadow in some. We have a really good working relationship. We both want the same thing for the area, which is to see the area grow and to see all the local businesses succeed. And you're right. Friday night we had Town Center Park summer concert series, again, live music, local band, Yesterday's Wine, and then a Lexington, Kentucky band called Superfecta. And again, just a really fun cover band, party band, a lot of Motown, a lot of 70s, a lot of 80s, 90s, really, just really fun stuff.
Yeah, you had a busy week, and I could tell, man. It seemed like you were all over the place, and there was just thousands of people out, and it just seemed like you had the landscape for it. You all you saw in the distance was just more and more space. Like you could have had more people than that were there. It was crazy. It was pretty cool.
We could have. That's one of the things I like about this area, particularly the city of London, Kentucky. It's growing, it's thriving. It's right off of I-75. I'm an hour south of Lexington, about an hour and a half north of Knoxville, Tennessee, and about 3.5 hours from Nashville, Tennessee, about 2 hours from Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg. So it's just a really uniquely situated, ideally situated place for growth. And and not just economic growth, but there's places for new rental properties, new homes, new subdivisions. There's just a lot of good, a lot of positive here in the area. And that's why I love working with the local tourism. I sit on a bunch of boards with them. Downtown, I sit on boards there. The schools, I sit on boards with them, trying to ensure that this area continues to not just survive, but thrive as we come out of this COVID-19 pandemic.
And before we get to some of the other stuff, like what we talked about last night on Warrior Mode, and some of what I'd like to talk about on this show this evening, I noticed that, it's obvious that you have that voice. I mean, everybody knows. I think Jay said to me the other day, he said, man, in that English accent he has, he said, man, you can go to sleep listening to that guy's voice, and I couldn't. Sorry, Jay. I tried a little bit there, but so you have that phenomenal, that radio voice and all that, but I didn't know that you were doing a lot of spots and commercials there, because the one gentleman said that you guys probably recognize this voice. So you've got a lot of commercial spots running there in Kentucky there.
Well, I don't do as much here at my stations. I tend to let my two main morning guys, Dave Begley and Terry Harris, they do most of our commercials. My sales rep, Alyssa Emmett, she cuts a lot. What I try to do is, here in this market, I try to do all of the commercials that relate to my stations and our community involvement. So if like the Town Center Park concert summer series, that one, I will voice that because that's a partnership between my radio stations and the city and city tourism and things like that. If we've got, tomorrow night we have this judged singing competition, very much American Idol, The Voice. And so all of those promos, I have voiced those because that is a distinct partnership between my radio stations, Old Town Grill restaurants, and the Mountain Arts Center in Prestonsburg, Kentucky, which is a state-of-the-art recording facility. So, and actually I was up there this past week for some meetings, and actually on Thursday of last week for meetings. and we did some Facebook Live showing folks that recording studio, what they're going to win. The grand prize winner gets $2,000 cash prize and 2 songs recorded at this state-of-the-art facility. So if it's that, then that's kind of what I voice. Now we have 25 radio stations in 9 markets in 3 states: Kentucky, Indiana, Illinois. So a lot of the other stations, just like I do, I'll go to my counterparts and I'll say, will you cut this commercial? Because you don't want the same voice on everything.
Sure.
It's just noise. So I do voices in their markets, they do voices in my markets. Back in Eastern Kentucky, where I came from, I spent about 5 years up there. So I have a lot of relationships, not with just radio stations that are now part of the company that I work for, but other radio station owners and other station general managers and sales managers. So I do voice a lot of commercials back in my old stomping ground of Prestonsburg, Pikeville, Paintsville area. As a matter of fact, I was the voice of their 4th of July celebration in Prestonsburg this past week, and I cut that for the tourism there. So that was on several different radio stations, and you'll hear me on a couple of UK University of Kentucky health spots. I voice those. And
that's
so,
awesome.
Yeah, just every now and then I'll get a call to voice something. Really interesting though. Becky Anglin says she's in Kentucky, Frankfurt.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's awesome. How you doing, Becky? Thanks for watching the show.
Thanks for watching. We would in that area, not as much as I'd like to be. I love the Frankfurt area. Get up to Lexington quite a bit. We've got our corporate offices are there in Lexington, Man of War Boulevard, as a matter of fact. So.
Wow. Yeah, man. I mean, look, hey, we're extending out. We're reaching people. You're there in London, Kentucky. I'm here in Baltimore, Maryland. Well, really, it's called Dundalk, the area that I live. But we're just trying to bring everybody together and let people know that we're there for them, right, Travis? I mean, that's all essentially. Everything that you just said, everything you just covered involves helping others. I mean, you said it so naturally, like, oh, it's just what I do. It's just what I do, right? Well, guess what? It's not just what you do. It's who you are as well. It's who we are, and we're just covering how the weekend's going. We haven't even really got into anything that happened on Warrior Mode, which was insane last night. It was pretty intense. What'd you say?
I've got a couple of black eyes from the chat room.
They were all over you as soon as you said it. Oh my goodness! I had to look at some of those comments later after the show when I hopped off. I mean,
Travis is in denial. Travis is just being naive. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm using logic.
Why is that right? Talk about that a little bit, please. Because it just didn't really make much sense. I really didn't think, as much as they know, they've watched you all these shows, and they still had the nerve to make some of those comments.
First of all, let me say this: I love the folks in the chat room, and I took it in great fun. They didn't upset me. I'm not angry or anything like that. I had a lot of fun. As a matter of fact, I even told Kev in a private message when we were doing the show, I'm like, you're going to have to bring me out of this because I'm having way too much fun keeping the chat room riled up over my comments, because I was egging them on and playing along. Last night on Warrior Mode, and I love Warrior Mode. It's been one of the best things to happen out of this pandemic. And I've said time and time again, I spent about 6 months of the pandemic being very, very negative and being depressed because we were watching businesses close. We were watching businesses pull their advertising. And I was in a bad place.
Yes.
I was because I had just moved to London. I had just taken this job about 9 months before the pandemic. I just hired a new sales rep. The day that the governor of Kentucky shut the state down was her first day on the job as a sales rep. You cannot imagine the amount of stress that someone who's going into sales, never done it before, never worked in broadcast or media, and now all of a sudden everything that she was promised was just yanked away from her in a matter of words during press conference. Yeah. So there was a lot of negative early on, but about September of 2020, I started seeing the positive side of things, and a lot of that was due very much in part. Okay, Kev,
he got you. I was waiting for you to pick up on that.
I just saw it. It just popped up. I'm a music industry shill. Yes, I am. I work in the music industry. I can't play an instrument and I cannot sing, but yes, I do work in the industry. But you know, when Bill started Warrior Mode, and then he and Kev invited me on, and then I started doing it every Sunday, and then we got you involved, and it just became this brotherhood, this camaraderie, just you know, all the fun that we were having doing the show. That's one of the positive things for me that came out of the pandemic was the way that every Sunday night we're able to get together and we draw on each other's faith, strength, courage, and love, and feed that into one another, and then also the individuals that watch. And you know, we had about 122 people that were live watching the show last night. It's one of our highest ever, and that's amazing.
Ever.
That's amazing. I couldn't believe it. Show that's only about 15 months old, and on a holiday night and a Sunday night, and so. But you know, we were talking about that very, very prevalent theory about the music industry, especially, but the entertainment industry in general. Individuals that will enter into those Faustian or Mephistophelian pacts of selling their souls to the devil in exchange for fame and fortune and men or women or whatever the payback is. And Bill had a lot of valid points. I, you know, looking at the Bob Dylan interview, and I've seen that interview many times. I've watched it. I've read the transcript where, you know, he's being interviewed by Lou Holt of 60 Minutes. And, you know, and it's very obvious that he did something. And I'm not going to say he sold his soul to the devil, but he believes he did something. He believes that he made a pact with something, and in exchange, he got success. But one of the clips that we played was Christian Bale, and I think it was a Golden Globe award. I may be wrong. It might have been the Academy. I can't remember now. But he was accepting his award, and it was for his portrayal of Vice President Dick Cheney in the movie Vice. And he was thanking everyone for, you know, helping him win that award. And he said he wanted to thank Satan for inspiring him on how to play the role. And everyone immediately assumed he was thanking Satan because he had sold his soul. And I just think it was more of a tongue-in-cheek gesture of saying he looked to the way Satan is personified, and that's how he chose to play Dick Cheney. And I made that statement, and you would have thought that I was the PR machine for the Antichrist himself. I mean, the chat room was just blowing up. They couldn't believe that I was defending that kind of statement. They couldn't believe that I was claiming that Bell hadn't sold out and that he wasn't part of this Luciferian end game and all of that in Hollywood. And here's the thing, folks. And Derek and I, we come from the entertainment industry. Bill comes from the entertainment industry. Kev comes from this world of podcasting that has grown up and exploded over the past decade and a half. And the thing is, I'm a handler. Besides managing radio stations, I still consult. I still have clients that I work with. I got political clients in Northern Virginia and Texas. I've got Bill Bean as a client. I've got a film industry or film company in the Hollywood industry out in LA that I'm consulting with right now. We're putting together all of the promotion material for a project. They're getting their funding together. Great project with Susan Bell and SWB Entertainment Group. So I still consult with these people. And when I have somebody, for example, if I were to have somebody come on this show or Warrior Mode, I would tell them, I want to make sure that you say certain things. I need certain sound bites. I need you to make sure that this gets said. Don't care how you work it in, just make sure it gets said. And so I think a lot of times these individuals, like the Christian Bells, the Lady Gaga, the Bob Dylans, in some of these instances, they're simply doing what they're told. Now, I had several people private message me last night and this morning about the same thing. Do I think that all of these individuals have sold their souls for fame and fortune? No, I don't. I don't think all of them have. Do I think some of them have? I think some of them probably would do it in a heartbeat. I don't know if they have. Not my place to judge. I can only base things on what they say, but at the same time, I have to take what they say from a certain perspective and look at it through a certain lens. and think about, was it them or was it the industry? Do I think the entertainment industry as a whole has been used over and over again for multiple ends, to both positive and negative? Absolutely. The entertainment industry, the news industry, that machine has been used over and over again for both good and for bad. I just have a really hard time standing up here and pointing fingers and saying, you sold your soul, you sold your soul, you're going to hell, you did this, you did that, based on rumors. I wasn't in the room. I haven't watched anyone sign their name in blood. I haven't watched any kind of Black Sabbaths. I haven't seen anyone go to the lengths of actually doing it. Of all those audio clips, the only person who said they had done it was Bob Dylan. And he did come out and say he had made a pact with, in his terms, the chief commander. And Lou asked him, chief commander of this world, and Dylan said, this world and the world not seen.
Not seen.
So I think that this is that's the only one that I've ever heard actually say they had done something, and Dylan said he'd done it.
Well, I looked at it more like this, and just to be quite frank with you, our Warrior Mode audience is pretty stern and hardcore in just the belief system that you know, that strong Christian faith, of course. Anything remotely in support or showing leniency to one who might be talking anything about the devil in support of any kind of demons or anything involving Satan, they're going to shun and they're going to cringe, and that's what they did. They didn't give you. I mean, you know, they know who you are, you know, so they thought it would be interesting to antagonize you after saying that. And being in the industry,
they don't know me well enough to think that they could get under my skin.
No, and they couldn't. They just, all they did was just fuel you, and that was funny because you know, it's interesting how you do pretty much. You're in the chat, see how you get in the chat room. You're kind of seeing what's going on and studying some of the conversations that go on. And I mean, really, I mean, they watch the show. It's really a show within a show. I've noticed that the more we have our Warrior Mode show, the more I notice how the chat room is just it's its own entity. It's like but they're listening. They're listening because you can see when we say something, how they're all over it, right? But then they go off into their own little conversations again. I mean, you're talking about multiple conversations. That was one of our heaviest viewed shows on a holiday. The Independence Day evening, we had almost, I don't recall a show where we peaked up to 120 like that. So
we haven't had it.
That's what I mean. So I found that quite interesting. That people were watching like that. So anyway, I just wanted to say, and of course, you know, us on the panel, Kevville and myself, I mean, come on, it's Travis Short, man. And see, for a second, think about it too. For a second, Trav, they almost acted like they forgot the true meaning of the show, right? Where you have all of in a way. Well,
no, I was going to say in a way, and they do sometimes. They do. They do forget that it's a conversation. It's a dialogue. It's not any. You've got four different men from four different walks of life, two countries, two states within the U.S.
Yep.
Both of us have all of these, and we bring this different perspective, this different world view. You got Bill, who is a current minister. You've got the fact that I was a minister in a previous life, and all of that in my past and background. Both Kev and I have had very, very negative demonic attacks on us because of investigations and things that we were associated with. And then you've got you coming in with a whole new set of fresh eyes and fresh perspective. And none of us come to any single Warrior Mode show, or this show for that matter, with any preconceived ideas.
Nope. It's all off the cuff, right? I mean, we essentially do what? Just a little pre-prep before we come on. If it's something really significant that we want to cover, right? We might have that lined up. But other than that, we come on free will, free thought. We have, you know, I mean, we're talking about basic stuff. I mean, just to jump in the chat room real quick. I mean, just people from all walks. Destiny, how you doing, Destiny? It's been a while since I seen you. She actually, I believe, moved to Florida, so she used to live in the same area that I do. So hi, Destiny.
Hey, Destiny.
And I'm doing well. And this individual that is beside me here on the screen, that's Travis Short, brother, colleague, partner, all of the above. And this is our Paramedia Activity Show, and we're just mulling over a couple things that happened last night on our Warrior Mode, which I encourage everyone out there to watch.
Yes,
we do it every Sunday night, approximately 7 p.m. On YouTube. Yeah, approximately. I like how you emphasize approximately. So we try.
And let me say that is never Kev Baker's fault. That's never Kev's fault. That's always one of the three of us having some kind of technical problem on our end. You know, Kev's got this great studio setup. He is the ultimate professional. And then you've got me and you and Bill. And, you know, we're rushing around at the end of our day
trying to get
situated and get our tripod set up. And, you know, and my kids are visiting with me this week. So my son is actually camped out in what normally is my office, because normally my backdrop is Las Vegas with that hangs on my wall. Now you get to see my wine rack and my katanas,
which I love that backdrop. and real quick here, Trav, because I know we started late and I don't want to keep you long. I see where you're actually having conversations with Becky here. I'm going to bring, I'll hand it over to you, and we'll go back to what she said earlier, because it looks like you're actually having a conversation with her about that. So this is what happened to her. She says, lost my husband of 20 years in February of 2020, which is just last year. So we're very, very sorry to hear that, Becky. Didn't want to glide on past that like that's not significant and very important, because it is. And none of us would like to be in a position like that. She said she understands why you may have been focused on the negative at that time, Travis. She says she was all alone with her young daughter, and under the governor's quarantine, finally climbed out around December. So I'll put your comments up there too, Travis. So, but go ahead, carry on from there, Trav.
No, I just I was, I saw that pop up, and there's so many bad things did happen in 2020. And I was telling her, I when the state shut down, especially Kentucky, living here, my ex-wife and kids, my parents, my brother, my sisters, my nieces, my nephews, my aunts, my uncle, all of my family is in Virginia, with the exception of a couple of cousins that actually are here in the same area of Kentucky where I am. And so, I went 3.5 months and never saw my kids, didn't see my mom, my dad, didn't get to see my aunt, my uncles, and it was difficult. And that quarantine did really, and we've seen this and we've talked about it on Warrior Mode. It increased negativity, it increased depression, it increased a lot of mental illness and mental instability, and it increased, as Bill has said time and time again, the demonic attacks. And we never even talked about that until one episode, and it came out during Warrior Mode. When you start talking about people who live in homes that have paranormal activity, whether it be ghosts, hauntings, or demonic presences, or something along those lines, and that's what Bill has spent his life doing, traveling the country and performing these deliverances, these exorcisms. And when he was not able to travel, and all of these clients were trapped at home, they weren't able to leave, they weren't able to go to work, which was many times their only escape from the trauma and the horror that they were dealing with. All of a sudden, they're now trapped in one location with all of that activity. So the instances of the need for a deliverance minister was escalated. It was astronomical, through the roof. The number of phone calls, the number of Skype requests, the number of emails and messages that Bill got was just through the roof. And he was working 24/7 on the phone, on Skype, on Zoom, doing these long distance virtual deliverances for these people. So 2020 no pun intended, and actually all pun intended, was a hell of a year. It was one of those years that literally was unprecedented in every aspect. That what we witnessed, what we experienced, and we're still experiencing it coming out of it
Yeah, we
on
are.
this side.
Yeah, and I just and thank you for going there and sharing that. Nobody really wants to revisit what happened in 2020,
Nope.
but I mean, how can we ignore it?
No, and you can't. And for Becky, again, I want to say I'm so sorry that you had to deal with the loss of your husband and be stuck there at home and not be able to get out. That has to be absolutely traumatizing. So our thoughts, our prayers are with you and your
Absolutely, Becky.
daughter.
Absolutely. Yep. To you and your family. And we're here for you. And we're here for anybody out there really that's listening to the show. If you actually want to become part of the show or join the show, all you have to do is put in the comments there, say, hey, give us a little brief description of what's going on with you. Or if you just want to say, hey, I'd like to come in and, add your piece, say a few words. I'd be glad to send you a link and invite you onto the show. It's one of those shows, and we're still a young show. We're getting it going. We're firing it up. We got help. We got Kev Baker right there who's still watching. Said even last night's show, he set it for 7:15 for the past 3 weeks, and we're still starting late.
We're never on time.
So we just try to laugh too, even in times of turmoil. Like hard to laugh when things like what happened with Becky happens, but together, that's how we get strong, right? I mean, I could sit up here and tell you some really sad things that happened to me, and I wear his necklace right here, but it's strength for us. I mean, we got to stay strong. Travis has had a lot of stuff happen to him, family members on the warrior mode. I mean, we've cried together, we've laughed together, we've bonded, and that's what we formed, and we love it every second, man. And we can spend together where it's got to be, whether it has to be on social media or across the World Wide Web. Here we managed to get it done. So that's what we're about. That's what we do. So never want to downplay anything that's as serious as what happened to you, Becky. So but yeah, Travis, it was a great show last night. I definitely want to talk a little bit about, before we get off here. Like I said, I want to kind of make this a more speedy show. I know it's fireworks evening, and you probably hear them going off in your area right now. I can hear them out my window here.
Actually, we've got rain tonight. It's raining.
Do you? Oh, so not too many fireworks.
Not too many fireworks.
Not tonight. Not there in London, Kentucky. So,
nope.
But yeah, so we did the premiere today at noon. We launched it. Yes. Part one. It was part one of our Warriors in the Valley of Giants. And big shouts out to Jay Roberts. He did the edits. I did all the shooting. Went up there, met with Todd Smith and Devin. And those guys, man, they hunt all the time. They have a base camp up there. And those guys have all the gear. I mean, you should have seen everything. And, again, it's on my social media page, my Facebook page here. And again, it's just part one of a 2-part first episode, because it was so long and we didn't want to trim too much out of it and not be able to connect, a continuity to give you all the feel of what we really wanted you to see and feel it, because there wasn't a lot that was actually seen, but it was a lot going on, if that makes sense to you guys out there. So with that being said, we created it, and through me communicating with him, he had to get the idea of what it was we were trying to portray. And that was the first things he was asking me, Travis. But then after I sent him the footage, he saw it. He could see the connection, everything that was happening in phases, because that's how I recorded it. So it made it easier for him to put it together. So in that first part, you're going to see what we call the encounter. We had an encounter in the camper where Devin seen something that he was trying to describe out the window. That I was where I was sitting. Todd was across from me. We were having a conversation. Devin was sitting to which would be my right, and Todd's left. Okay, so he's facing out the camper window, looking straight ahead. I remember how he was sitting, and I mean, you can almost look straight ahead unless you're looking down or side to side, right? So he was just facing straight like this, and he saw what he saw. And his reaction, I turned my head instantly to the left, and I saw something at the corner of the window. And the reason why I knew Devin saw what he saw was because Todd asked him the questions. What did you see, Devin? Because he was freaking out, and he had this shotgun in his hand, like, and he could have easily just ran out that camper and start shooting it, just going crazy, right? But he stood there shaking like this, and he asked him, "What did you see? Describe what you saw." And before Devin answered, because he was more in a little bit of a shock phase, I answered the questions that Todd was asking Devin, if that makes sense to you. So I wanted to see, and I did this on purpose. I answered him quick because I knew what I saw. I wanted to see if what he says or said would match what I thought I saw. And lo and behold, man, they did. Everything he said, he said it was it was almost smooth, which it was a sphere. He said it was transparent, which you could see through it, which you could. He said you couldn't really tell what it was exactly because of how it was kind of foggy. And I was like, holy smokes, that's exactly what I saw. So thought that was really, really interesting. And I really don't know what to say, what to think about it anymore, man. It's just kind of wild that these things are really happening. And for us, people like you and I, Trav, that are investigators in our own right, okay, people who will quickly debunk something if we must. Nah, come on, that was just that. You can't see that, whatever creature right there. That's a normal creature. You can't call that a Bigfoot. But what happened that night in that camper really blew my mind. And hey, for those guys that are out there and they're around it constantly, I'm not going to be the one to try to tell you, whoever you are out there listening to this show, watching this show, that you are crazy and you did not see what you're claiming that you've seen with your own eyes, or experiencing what you're saying that you are experiencing. I'm not the guy for that job. I'm going to do my best to help you figure it out. That's about the best thing that I can do. Other than that, there's no business for you telling me your personal information like that if I'm going to ridicule what you're saying. Okay. And me, Travis, that's just how I feel about that. And but yeah, so I look forward to the second part of that. I do plan on going back up there at some point, hopefully this year, before they shut that area down, because it's owned by a farmer. So that's pretty much it. Now, if you guys want to watch it for yourselves and paint your own picture and come to your own conclusion of what felt real and what didn't appear real, just go to my Facebook page, Derek Stroman on Facebook. You're probably right there right now. It's probably right below this live feed, actually. So, but so what did you think about that first part that you saw, Travis?
I think, of course, I was going to say one thing real quickly.
Sure, go for it, bro.
Listen to you talk about Todd and Devin and their reactions, and not questioning what they saw, but understanding they saw something, because we've had them on the show. We've heard their actual encounter which is what attracted you to do this documentary.
Sure.
You got a little bit of a taste of what I experienced with all the folks in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, that happened off driving in the late 60s. I don't know what they saw, but obviously they saw something, and it's something that terrified them and traumatized them to the point that some 40, 50 years later, they still deal with it. It still haunts them. It still causes them terror. So yes, these are individuals that have experienced something, and it's something real. As far as what I watched today, I and I'm not saying this because I'm on the show. We've already had this conversation. You asked my, my personal, my professional
Yeah,
opinion.
and you're going to tell me the truth.
And I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you exactly what the same.
We found that out on Warrior Mode last night. Pardon the interruption, but go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Thankfully, we don't have anybody in our chat tonight that's going to crucify me. No, I think what you did was, we were talking about the style that you chose to go free-handed instead of using tripods and saying, and I think it works because I think for this particular type of documentary film, it's action and not necessarily edge of your seat action, but walking, climbing, moving, and it needs that feel. Otherwise, it's going to feel staged. So I think going with the handheld approach of the camera was the best choice for at least for this segment.
Sure, for that segment, yes, sir.
For this half, I think that was definitely the way to go. The second thing, we talked about, the way that you shot it, the engagement between Todd and Devin, and you as kind of this omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent videographer, filmmaker, but also you were kind of, as you said, that bridge between the two of them.
Sure.
And kind of that connection back to reality while all of these things were going on.
Yeah.
But the atmosphere, the engagement, the authenticity of what was happening, that this was like a found footage film without being a found footage film. It was you could honestly think that you were out there with you guys in the woods as part of the investigation, as part of the hunt. And so it really did, and I think that again goes a lot to the way that you shot it, and the way that the story unfolds. We feel like we're there with you. It's like we're sitting around. I mean, you can almost smell the campfire. You can almost smell the humidity in the air and all that. It draws you in. So I think by far one of, especially from a Bigfoot documentary, it's one of the best I've seen in a long time.
Wow, I really, 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 really appreciate that. It was the first time I ever shot one like that. So I went in with a preconceived somewhat idea, but when you do stuff like that, it's kind of hard, I stayed with a fixed lens. I didn't change lenses. I didn't use a really wide lens. I used one that could capture light really well. Mm-hmm. Again, no zoom feature, so it was just kind of focus in and out, which I was okay with that, but I don't know. I don't know if I would do that exactly again, just depending. So I was left kind of not sure. So for filmmakers like myself, independent filmmakers, still amateur, still learning the trade, I'm taking everything out of that the audience, such as yourself, somebody who is a director, somebody who does know how to do documentary style films and works with people, like you said earlier in the conversation, people in Hollywood that trust you and believe in your idea concepts. I'm taking what you said and then I can better myself for the next time. So that fixed lens I used, which is the 50 mil, did a good job. It performed well. It performed well in low light situations. I did have an external light, one. So I didn't set up a full production style, and like you said, I think that added to the feel of being right there involved, because it was more of a directional light hitting one angle for the most part. That was all essentially that we needed for that at that time. And then I think I was able to stabilize myself enough free-handed like that to keep the audience from feeling kind of motion sickness, and at the same time give that movement that makes you feel connected. And that's what I was shooting for. I knew it.
Yes. And that's what I was going to say. And documentary filmmaking is very different than any other type of filmmaking, because you can't really script it. All that you can do is go out, and if you're interviewing, you can't ask open-ended questions. You can't, or they can't be a yes or no. They need to be able to actually expound on the question that you ask.
Sure.
And that gets a little hard sometimes.
Yes.
Because you feel like you're prying, but you have to pry in order to get that information from the individual. But what I was going to say was, I do think, and you summed it up, I think, best right there. The handheld approach for this keeps you and the audience involved. If you set it up on a tripod or a stand, you can then stand back and you just wait for things to happen. But if you are holding the camera, then you're actively looking for what's going on, and you can possibly see things that aren't in that frame of view. You can
at all time. Yep.
Your peripheral vision can pick up something and you go, oh, I need that. And you can just turn, and it's a natural turn. It's not, I've got to grab the tripod and turn the tripod and pick the tripod up and do that. So it makes it very organic, and it actually makes the camera an actual extension of you, the film.
Of me. Yep.
Yes. Yep. And so it's still there, and it's very, very organic.
And I needed to hear that, to be honest with you, because again, just talking about it, you're the first person. I told you this pre-show. You're the first person that I've spoken to about it. I haven't even, about the premiere, right? So I haven't even spoken to Jay again since it's been premiered.
And let me say this: I love the graphics. I love the opening. I love everything that's incorporated. And I know Jay worked on a lot of that stuff. And he and I haven't even had the chance to talk. You guys sent me. I was privy to the first episode even before anyone else was, but I haven't had a chance to talk to anyone because we were talking about how crazy this weekend has been.
Oh my goodness, and it still has been.
It still has been. It's so funny.
And it's still going on.
I've got my 18-year-old son and my daughter will be 17 on Wednesday. My Leah will be 17. Your Leah's how old?
She'll be 6 on the 18th. So wait a minute. Okay. When does your Leah turn? How old again? 17?
She'll be 17 on the 7th.
Wow. Okay. So All right. So that's
year,
just that's just a couple days, right?
2 days. 2 days. Yeah, 2 days. I picked them up Thursday. They've been with me ever since. See, for her birthday last year, I took her and 3 of her best friends on a 2-day excursion to Point Pleasant. So we went up and we stayed. We didn't stay in the hotel that I normally stayed in when I was shooting the documentary. I wasn't going to expose them to that. We stayed at a place where John Keel had stayed in the 60s. The place is still open and it's still functioning and really hasn't been renovated since the 1960s, which is why I wasn't going to subject my daughter and her 3 friends to that. We at least stayed in I think it was a Best Western, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember. It's a Wyndham Resort. I know that. It was on the Ohio side. But we went up and stayed for a couple of days, and I took them. We retraced the steps that Dad and my cousin Matthew and my best friend and business partner Charlie McCracken, who passed away in 2019. We retraced the steps. I took them all the main locations where we shot segments for the documentary film. We went there, even reshot some segments with them. And then shot got their perspective of what they were witnessing, what they were seeing, things like that. So this year, the only thing she wants to do is go to a restaurant in Johnson City, Tennessee called Bayou Boys. It's an authentic New Orleans restaurant.
Sounds like it.
Came from New Orleans. We were there back in February. We went to dinner there. So that's what she wants for her birthday. So that's where we're going Wednesday night for dinner, and then drop them back off in Virginia. But it's they're here with me. They were with me this weekend, and they were running around. We had the concert series on Friday. We had the fireworks and concert on Saturday, and we didn't get home until about 1 o'clock each morning. And they looked at me and they're like, "We don't know how you do the things
what you
do.
You go nonstop.
This routine." And I'm like, "Well, a lot of caffeine, a lot of caffeine." And typically, I will push myself through the week, and then I kind of crash on the weekends. And But right now, the way things are going, we have something every weekend here in Southeast Kentucky through the 1st of October. So there's like no downtime.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. Pardon the interruption, but it's a good time to jump in for me because I need to figure out and find some time to somewhat gel and interrupt that busy schedule of yours so we can get together and take that trip to Point Pleasant. Now we you know, it's something that I know time is moving really quick, Travis, but we got to figure this out because we have a young lady in West Virginia, which is where Point Pleasant is, that needs, is in need of some help.
She's in Charleston. Charleston is about 45 minutes, hour, depending from Point Pleasant. So yeah, I think we need to make that happen.
What would be really awesome is a rendezvous point at a location that I would suggest that you choose the rendezvous location because you know it much better than me. You know that, well, much better, completely better, because I don't know anything about it. So if you could kind of get a
yeah, I was gonna say honestly, Charleston's a good, because you'll be coming from Maryland, I'll be coming from Southeast Kentucky. So Charleston is probably going to be the best meeting point because it's a fairly large city. There's a lot of landmarks where we can meet up, restaurants, hotels, whatever wherever we need to meet up. And you better bring Johnny Lang with you, because if you don't bring Johnny, I'm going to be disappointed. You just turn around and go back to Maryland.
I know. So shouts out first off to Johnny. He still has yet to be on this show. Johnny's got a pretty wild schedule. We did get him hooked up. He's got a new job. He's starting a new job. I don't know if you watched the Speak Your Mind show last Thursday where we had.
I was traveling. I didn't.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna get you back on. I want you to come on more often as a guest host like you were last time. I know Thursdays are. We're trying to work the best way we can. And the great thing about it though, Travis, is whenever. If you're not busy, well, guess what? Same time. It seems like all these shows are supposed to start at 7. Right, all of them. Warrior Mode, this show, our Speak Your Mind show at TV Free Baltimore. So just if you can make it, come on in. I'll try to give you a little briefing on who the guest is, if there's a guest. If not, then we'll just do what we usually do and just have open discussion.
I think you and Johnny can have some very serious and dangerous discussions, just the three of us.
I know it's gonna be pretty wild. And so for me, if you could look at your schedule, because I know how you like to schedule ahead, and see if there is a window that maybe we could make this happen, if possible. If not, then we'll just, how it goes, brother. We just keep trying until we make it happen. That's all.
We can make it happen. I'm going to go ahead and just be extremely. It is probably going to be mid-October.
Okay.
Before I have a single, because it's very hard for me to get away through the week. So it would have to be like a long weekend. So like Friday, take a Friday off and a Monday off. But like I said, we've got something going on every weekend in the city of London, and whether I'm not a micromanager, so don't take this the wrong way, but I never ask my employees to do something that I wouldn't do. So if there's something going on and my team has to work, I work it.
You're working too.
I'm there with them.
I love it.
I don't do their jobs, but I'm there. I'm taking pictures. I'm doing Facebook Lives. I let them do their thing. But I never ask them if they're working a weekend. I'm working a weekend. If they work a holiday, I work a holiday. I don't have any of my team do anything that I'm not going to do myself, because I've been in their shoes. I came up through radio. I started out as a DJ, worked my way up into sales and all these other aspects, and now I'm a general manager. I haven't forgotten what it was like working my way up. I had to work Thanksgiving Day, Thanksgiving night, Christmas Day, Christmas night, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. I've done all that.
That's what a good boss does.
I don't ask my team to do anything that I wouldn't do. So if there's something going on the weekends, I'm there. And I need to be anyway, because I am the face. Even though they're the face of the radio stations, I'm the face of the company in this market. So I'm going to say mid-October, and I know that the one individual that we're talking about, I don't know if we can say her name on this show. I know she came on Speak Your Mind, so I'm not going to divulge that. But we do have an individual who's having some problems. I don't know if she can wait that long. It seemed like the other night that she has kind of come to grips with what her reality is, and she's dealing with it and maintaining it. But it's for me, it's going to be at least the middle of October, and then we can look at now. What I was going to say too is if we do that, we really do need to make another trip back to Point Pleasant.
Oh, we're going to do that.
December,
Jay's adamant about it too. Jay said, you better go there. And I said, don't worry, we're going.
Well, I think if we don't get to Point Pleasant when we go to Charleston, we need to get back in December because December 15th is the anniversary of the collapse of the bridge. So they always do a big memorial service there in Point Pleasant. So the Silver Bridge collapsed December 15th, 1967. So that means this December will be, what is that, 54 years?
67, and it's 2021.
54? Yes.
I need a calculator.
I've got one. Let me see if I can do that math. I think
I'm sorry. I'm terrible at math. Especially that far. Well, how was that? That ain't too bad. It's 64.
2021 minus 19. Okay, I can't even type. 2021 minus 1, 5, 6, 7. Equal. Okay, well, that didn't work at all.
Let's see. I used to have a calculator nearby.
2021. You know what? I'm using an Android. They don't do math right.
You're a Mac guy? You're
54.
Apple?
No, I'm not actually. My work phone is an Apple. My personal phone is an Android, but I'm using the personal phone for this. 54 years. So this will be the 54th anniversary of the collapse of the Silver Bridge.
Okay.
46 lives lost. 2 bodies.
Wow.
2 bodies never found. The time the bridge collapsed, it was one of the greatest disasters, non-natural disasters that had ever actually taken place on U.S. soil. It claims that many lives in one instant. Of course, it was surpassed a few years later by another collapse, and then it was surpassed in 2001 with 9/11. But at that point in time, it was one of the greatest losses of lives from a bridge disaster.
And that's how I kind of, you see how you were explaining that. That's kind of how I'd like to shoot that. So while we're there, we're going to document. We're going to this is stuff that we can get done, just like I did at Wellsville with Todd and Devin. Same thing. Get the footage over to Jay. He'll piece it together and add all that additional stuff that we need, and that makes our lives easier. See, Jay's been a dream savior for me because I would generally have to do it all.
Yep.
It's just a lot of work. And when time's limited, it's just hard to film and edit and create all that cool stuff. Well, now, by joining forces with him, I'm able to film, document as such, have a host like yourself, can you imagine a better host than Travis Short? Not only that, you're direct. Kev Baker. I mean, you chant. I mean, shoot, I'll beat that drum too all day long for Kev. But it looks like I'm gonna have a little bit more access to you at the moment. So
that's true.
And again, you'll be in front of the camera, mic'd up, documenting, and I'll be able to cover.
Which goes back to our earlier conversation before we go on camera, which is why I'm joining a gym and getting on a diet regimen. I let my kids watch the Dark Wings documentary a few months ago, and I'm like, oh my God, I am so old and I am so fat now.
My goodness.
I mean, you're talking about the earliest scene for that documentary was shot in 2004. So we're talking 17 years ago. I'm 45 minus 17. So I was. So, 28. I was 28.
I mean, come on. You can't compare 28-year-old Travis to 45-year-old Travis. It's not fair. What are you doing, bro? It's not fair. We have to age. We're trying to age gracefully, and I think we have. I
had a guy ask me yesterday. He looked at me and said, that gray in your temples and in your goatee. He said, do you dye that or is that natural? I said, no, it's natural. I'm old as dust. That's why I'm gray.
You're not old. The grays make us look sophisticated.
He was like in his 30s. He was like early 30s. He's like, I'm like, yeah, I'm old, dude. Yeah, I get it. I had my driver's license the year you were born. Yeah, I get it. I know.
That's what the young people do, you know. And we were young once, and you know, we saw grays, and we said, "Oh, this gentleman must be getting up there in age." But if you think about it, hey, we don't get that. Oh, those guys look old on our shows, our Warrior Mode shows.
We don't.
And what I generally hear from us is, hey, those are two handsome men right there.
I know that's right.
So
we got Strowman style going on.
We got it going on, man.
Bill's got the Warrior Mode shirts. We need Strowman shades. We need to come up with a way to market these sunglasses.
Let's do it, man. I mean, the world is our oyster, as they say. I mean, we can pretty much do anything we want at this point. I want to push everything. I mean, we've brought it into existence, right? We talked it into existence.
Yeah.
We've made it manifest. Everything that we've tried to do, we've pretty much accomplished. Let's do it. I mean, look what Kev has done now to the Warrior Mode show. Look at how
that new logo, that new banner. With all of us lined up. Yeah.
That's pretty awesome, right? And it just galvanized what was already solidified and solid as it was into an even greater state. And I think everybody that was watching the show, as a matter of fact, in the chat room, there was some comments about it that I saw about the new banner and everything. And it's amazing. That show has gained steam like crazy. I think we've only seen, I should say it like this, we have yet to see what that show's really going to evolve into. So I'm really excited about that.
I am too. And I think people are hungry for discussion and not being spoon-fed and not being told what to think. And they do like, come over here. Hang on. Come on. Come over here. Come over here. Come over here.
Waving at your damn dog.
Come on. My daughter. Now, last night, anybody watching Warrior Mode last night, there was a moment where I had to get up because my entire kitchen, because this is where I was doing the show, was full of smoke. Come on in. This is Leah.
Hey, Leah. How you doing?
This is Derek.
Good.
You were not co-hosting when we did the show last July, and we actually had a show with Leah.
Oh, okay.
It was me and Bill and Kev, because I let her come on the show after we had been to Point Pleasant and let her talk about her experiences there in Point Pleasant and what she and her friends thought about the entire endeavor. But she's with me. TJ's in my office asleep, I'm assuming. But she had the entire kitchen full of smoke last night because she was making pizza rolls. But TJ had boxes of Little Caesars pizzas that he was storing in the oven, but he didn't tell anybody. So she put the oven on preheat to like 425, and all of a sudden
the boxes were in there.
It starts rolling out of the oven and out of the top, and so I had to immediately put the camera down and go open windows and get the smoke out and do all of that. So you're not getting ready to cook again, are you?
No.
Well, it's nice to meet you. Hey, Leah. I have a Leah too.
Yes, he has a Leah too.
She'll be 6 on the 18th, and I know you got a birthday coming up. So happy early birthday.
He said happy early birthday.
Happy birthday.
No, I've got the headset.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
That's right. She can hear. Yeah.
Same thing here. Like, it's so funny. But yeah, happy birthday.
I just wanted you to say hi to this show. You haven't been on this one before. I know. Okay, how's Cat?
Happy.
Okay.
He's sitting on my bed.
So
that's so funny how we do that.
I was just, you and I are talking. I'm like, she's like, what's he saying? I'm like, oh, you can't hear.
I was doing that last night. Remember, Leah popped on for a second. So it's so funny how we both got Leah's too. How about that?
That's hilarious. It really is.
It's just pretty wild. And their birthdays are close together. How about that? I mean, like, geez. That's pretty wild.
I know, my son TJ, he just graduated high school in May, and looking at jobs and then college next year, and she graduates next year. Like I said, I'm feeling old.
Yeah, well, I can see it. I mean, for a man to to do what you're doing, it almost seems like you're doing it by yourself. And, you know, without really going all into that, because I know that's personal stuff.
Oh,
it just
no, it's, you know, I'm not. My ex-wife and I, we've been divorced. Let's see, 2009, the divorce was final. So this is 12 years, but we are best friends.
okay.
We
you have stated that. Yes, sir.
We co-parent. You know, she has the kids most of the time. They're with me. I go in as often as I can, and we do things. She's still part of family functions. You know, she shows up when my parents. I mean, even if I can't make family functions, she shows up with the kids. I know as much about what's going on in her personal life as she does mine. And you know, you were mentioning things that had gone on in my life over the since you've known me. You know, of course, she's been going through cancer treatments in Atlanta, and of course, I lost a cousin on Warrior Mode one night. As a matter of fact,
I know. I remember.
I got the call while we were on the show. That my cousin,
I'll never forget it.
51 years old, had dropped dead in his bathroom. And that was just a week of trauma for the family, because there was all of these ups and downs, and there were all of these other complications that came into play. So yeah, it's been, you know, like I said, you know, there's been a lot of negatives and a lot of lows, but there's been a lot of positives over the past year. And honestly, meeting you and re-engaging with Bill and Kev, and you know, what's funny, and this blows people's mind when I tell them this, because they watch Bill and I especially interact. Bill and I have never met face to face. I've known Bill Bean since 2010, and Bill and I, we've done radio shows together. I have filled in for him when he couldn't do a radio show. We have co-hosted shows. He and I used to have a show years ago called The Round Table.
Wow.
And we, you know, but we have never ever met. There have been times Bill has been so close to me in Kentucky and in Virginia and in Tennessee. I mean, we're talking 45 minutes or an hour if I had been in town, but I've never been in town when he's been in that proximity.
Right.
But being able to reconnect, re-engage with Bill, Kev Baker, I love Kev as much as I love you, as much as I love Bill, as much as I love my own brother. And so
thank you. Likewise, bro. It's right back at you.
Kev was just one of those guys that had a show, and I needed to book Bill, and I reached out and got him on the Kev Baker show, and then it blew up from there. And that's what I love about this industry. And yes, I'm a music industry shill, Kev Baker. I'm going to go ahead and say that. I'm an entertainment industry shill. I will take it.
Kev dubbed you that already.
I like this industry because you do meet some good people. Now, not all of them are, but you do meet some good people. And I do love the people that I've met and the relationships that have been formed over the past. Well, come September of this year, it will be 29 years that I've been in the entertainment industry, the broadcast and the media industry in some form or fashion. 29 years. So I have been doing this more than actually longer than I've been alive, technically.
Years where you actually had to be.
It's over a half of my adult life.
Yep, your adult life
has been in this business, and
I've never done anything that long, like work wise, like that. You know, so I'm just being honest with you. You know, other than be alive or live, you know. Other than that, nothing that long, and that's why you're so good at it. That's why, you know, people acknowledge it. It's not, you know, it's not a facade. It's real. You're good at it. You're a good leader, and your team appreciates that. And that's all you could really ask for from leadership. So,
I remember when I started in the industry from a PR advertising management standpoint, I was 20. I think I was 23 years old when I was made managing partner of an advertising agency, and nobody respected me. Nobody. I mean, so I dressed 3-piece suits, French cuff dress shirts, fedoras. I mean, I still wear the fedoras and the French cuffs. Don't get me wrong. If I'm going to wear a suit, I'm going to wear a suit all the way.
Right. You're going to look super sharp.
ZZ Top Sharp Dressed Man is playing as I'm walking in. But
yeah, theme music. Boy, you got to have your theme music.
You got to have it. My ex-wife always said I had 2 songs that could be my theme song. Sharp Dressed Man or Right Place, Wrong Time. Those had to be.
You know what mine always is? I wear my sunglasses at night. Now,
Yes.
let me stop. And I keep telling people they're not sunglasses. They're prescription glasses. They are transitional lenses.
Yep.
I need them to see. But nobody believes that. It's like, whatever, dude.
It's because you look cool no matter what.
Just wearing your sunglasses, you know. Now, granted, I will say this because I detected that I had visual problems way back when I was wearing regular sunglasses that didn't have medicine in them because I needed to keep the lights down. So, but then I found out that was for a reason. You know, I have what's called photophobia, which is a high sensitivity to light. So.
Well, and see, I actually, I wear these because I wore them one night on Warrior Mode, and Bill and Kev will not let me get on the show now without wearing them, so that you and I kind of balance everything out.
I can't see you without them anymore.
I know, and it's just become this thing. But see, I have my mother's side of the family has a degenerative eye disease called keratoconus, and it's corn-shaped corneas, but it also causes great light sensitivity. So
never heard of that one.
Even if I'm outside or driving and it's overcast.
Hey, hold on, hold that thought.
You're being attacked. The Millennial Falcon.
Hey, what's up, Aaron? Yeah, hold on one second. Let me. I think I gotta run. Let the door. Don't leave.
No. I was gonna say, whatever. I'll be right here. Just turn my camera off. I don't want to sit here just staring.
Well, I want you to. You could chat with the audience for a second.
I'll talk to the audience.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
All you.
And now all of a sudden it's become a monologue. Anyway, those of you that might still be watching, I'm going to steal Strowman style yet again. I'm not shaving my head though. That's not happening. I'm just going to say that. So, I appreciate everyone who does watch the show on Monday nights. This has been fun. Sunday nights started out, I didn't know if I was even going to be able to make that happen. Sandy Lynn Con Brookover, happy. Well, happy for you to be watching. Thank you very much. We're trying to build this audience, so can't believe we just left the camera on me. I want to break into impersonations like I used to do when I was a DJ. When back at the time. Well, thank you. I'm glad this is your first show. Sandy just popped in and said this is her first time watching. We appreciate that. I'm sure Derek would proud. It's funny because typically when I do Facebook Lives for the radio station, one of the first people to pop on is my mom. And it would be Patty Short. Hello. I'm like, obligatory. I got to say hi, Mom. Tell Dad I said hi. I love you guys. I'll check in with you a little bit later. We'll see what happens, and then it kind of goes from there. I know.
Hey, I made it back. Oh, okay. Looks like some comments.
We have a first time viewer that was popping in, and I was just saying, typically when I do a Facebook Live for the radio stations, the very first person who pops onto my feed is my mother. And wow. Patty Short, hello, and I'm like, it's like, Mom, come on, hi, Mom, tell Dad I love him, I love you guys, I'll talk to you guys soon. It's like, but it's like when your mom pops in to a Facebook Live, you have to say hi. So wait a minute, this is your mom? No, this is my mom. This brought up that conversation. He said this is her first time watching the show. I had shared the link over on my Facebook page. This is actually one of my friends on Facebook. Yeah. Awesome. Sandy Lynn Cone Brookover. Brookover, yes. Nice. She wants to know what we're doing. We got some paramedia activity. That's what we're doing. This is our Monday night show. Yeah. We talk about anything and everything on this show. Yes, we do. It looks like we're gaining momentum the later the show and longer the show goes on. Like we are not doing a show later than 7:00. I cannot do that. I used to do one. I used to do one on Wednesday nights called Mystic Moon Cafe. It would run from 9 to 11, but it typically ran 9 to 12. Right. Had to get up. I know it's tough. I can't do that. Yeah, I can't do that anymore. Yeah, especially I had the late night show too, so I know exactly what you're talking about. They're fun. I do like, and then the very first one that I did was called the Short Circuit. You see what I did there?
Yeah.
And that was on Passionate World Radio back in 2010. And that was a Friday night show from 11 to was it 11 to 1 or 11 to 2? I think it was just 11.
That's a long show. Those shows are long because you got to keep your audience entertained. You got, a lot of commercial breaks, but they can be fun because you don't have to rush your material. See, I had an hour-long show, so you got to get everything in, and your commercials kind of just take most of your talk time or your guest time, and as soon as you get back after the break, you're like trying to get in, all your statements. And I had a pretty big panel at that time. I brought in a nice sized panel, and we had a nice team, but everybody wanting to say a little something. It was tough, but it was fun. That my Speak Your Mind show, which is what has been recreated. I would say a couple times. Now we do this Speak Your Mind paramedia activity show, which, as you can see, people are jumping in. Where
I've got to give a shout out to Mikey Caffrey. Mikey,
what's up, Mike?
Michael, he's the son of one of my good friends. He's also a good friend. His dad, Mike Caffrey, is one of the owners of Old Town Grill restaurants. I know you've seen me at OTG, Old Town Grill. And Mikey actually manages one of those restaurants in Corbin, Kentucky.
Awesome.
Just south of me. Good friend and just an all-around good guy. And I'm glad he's watching the show tonight. I appreciate that.
Yeah, we're here. That's why I just knew you, Travis, you would just be great. I mean, we made that connection, that strong connection on the Warrior Mode.
Yes.
And I said, you know what? It would be Travis. Travis is the guy, because it seems like we're always left with so much to talk about. And you have a way of being real reserved. And that's why Bill's always trying to call you out. You notice how often Bill calls you out. He's like, so what do you think? What do you think, Travis? But I notice you're way more on this show. You're way more, I don't know. I don't think it's a matter of you being relaxed. I think you have a style about you where you just want to be reserved when you know it's time to be reserved. I don't know what it is. Go ahead and explain, because maybe I'm reading it a little wrong there.
No, you're absolutely right. I years ago, when I was the managing partner of the ad agency, and with age comes perspective, and and I joke about my age. I don't think I'm old. I can run 3 miles in about 35 minutes. I do exercise, and I do try to take care of myself, but I joke about it.
Sure.
But the older you get, the more perspective you end up having, and you realize how you screwed up when you were younger, especially when you were given, as Uncle Ben says in the Spider-Man movie, with great power comes great responsibility. When things are bestowed upon us, we're not always ready for that responsibility, and we make a lot of mistakes. And I've made a lot of mistakes. And I remember I was, as I said, I was a managing partner of an advertising agency. I was in my mid to late 20s. I was very young. I was very cocky. I was very arrogant. And I was also very competitive. And I remember I had sat in on a meeting of a new organization that was starting called the Southwest Virginia Technology Council, and they were trying to get infrastructure and Wi-Fi and all of that into Southwest Virginia, a very rural area. And I sat in that meeting and ended up getting chosen. The ad agency did to create a logo and a slogan and all of that. And we did the unveiling at this meeting, and there was this gentleman, and he had been in Silicon Valley. He had been part of a startup out there. He thought he knew everything about digital, and he thought he knew everything about technology, and he thought he knew everything about computers. And people in Southwest Virginia and rural Kentucky, they didn't know anything. And he just literally tore into me during this presentation and on the logo. And I let him do it for a while, and then I really lit into him. And I remember it was myself and my 2 business partners, my wife at the time, and then my graphic design person, and we were all there at the meeting. And we all left and we went to a little restaurant. We were talking about the meeting, and I said, "So how do you guys think that went?" And everyone looked at me and they were like staring. And Charlie, one of the business partners, said, "Well," he said, "you pretty much just castrated the guy in front of the entire council." Those were his exact words. Well, I kind of backpedaled, and we did the crisis management that we needed to do to make things right, and everything got good. Well, I got appointed to another committee by somebody that had sat in on that meeting, and I sat in on that meeting, and there was a lot of similar discussion, and there were a lot of individuals that had the same kind of personalities as that guy did, and I didn't say anything. I didn't do anything. I just sat in the meeting and observed. And at the end of the meeting, the chairperson who had appointed me asked me to stay after the meeting. So I did. And she closed the door. And her exact words were, "Where the hell is that guy that was in?" And she named the town. She said, "I put you on this board because you speak your mind. You put people in their place. You don't let them walk." And I'm like, well, I've also learned that I can't do that from the very get-go. I have to observe, because a lot of times you need to figure out who's in the room, who's at the table, who's on the show, who's watching, who's listening, and it doesn't mean that I change my point of view. It just means I change the way I present. And so, yeah, there are some times on Warrior Mode I am much more reserved than I am on this show. Mainly because also at the same time, Bill's show very much, as you said, has a following and a platform, and it is very much there is a certain path that we have to walk on Warrior Mode, even though we have our differences of opinions. On this show, the very essence of it is we can speak our mind. We can say what whatever we want to say without the fear that it's going to come across the wrong way. And I know that you and Bill and Kev are not going to take it the wrong way, but that particular audience that we have in Warrior Mode might, as evidenced by last night.
It was a perfect example.
But so, yeah, I don't always say what's on my mind at that moment. I wait until the right time. And that's why you'll see me writing, and I'll be taking notes, and I'll be starring, and I'm highlighting and itemizing and prioritizing when this comment needs to be made, at what time, and who I need to address it to, and go back and. But the beauty of Warrior Mode is, even with that type of anarchy, and on my part, when I'm taking notes, and this is going to be said here, this is going to be said there, and I need to address it to this person. Everything flows together. And that's what I was going to say. That's the beautiful thing that has come out of Warrior Mode, is there's not been a single program or a single episode in almost 18 months that didn't just flow organically. And and we feed off of each other. And I'll pick up on something that you have just said, and Kev will pick up on something that Bill has said, and we just build on each other over and over and over again.
Now, I agree.
I do it on this show.
We do it all the time, and that's I thought about that too. Believe it or not, I did. I said, to actually have a show with Travis where I felt like you just needed to be. The audience would like to hear more of Travis Short too, And I said, you know what? I think it's deserving. Now, granted, he's all over the radio where he's at. He can create his own show, and bring other people in if you want. And you have. I know I'm speaking about you in the third person, but I'm just, if I was speaking for you, you had to stand over the podium. Let me tell you about Travis Short. It'd be a roast, right? I'm going to roast you today here, Mr. Short. But nah.
Actually, you know what? I would love for when my birthday rolls around in January, you guys do a roast of Travis Short on Warrior Mode. I think that
would be great.
I think that would be great. Let the audience chime in. Let them call in. I think it would be great.
Hey, guess what? We are going to propose that on the next Warrior Mode. How many people in the chat room would just love to roast love to roast Travis Short right now. We're doing his
Yep.
birthday's coming up or whatever, let's
Yep.
do it, But hey, man, I'm not look, man, I'm gonna have a hard time with that. You my guy. I don't know. I'll have to say some things. I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'll have a surprise for you. You'll appreciate it.
No.
You'll appreciate it.
But going back on that note,
Sure.
I introduced my kids to the Dean Martin roasts from the 70s. Those shows are amazing. If you haven't watched it in a long time, go back to YouTube. You can find a bunch of them. The love that everybody shared for another, but they were mean to each other. I mean, they said things that were horrible, but you could tell they loved each other.
Sure. Yeah, it's out of fun. It's supposed to be.
Fun.
You don't even bring people that into a roast that don't really care about you, because then it defeats the purpose, right? Those people say that stuff anyway. They say that stuff about you.
You want the people that tell you they love you and you're the best, and then you want to hear the opposite from them. But I love what Warrior Mode has created, because it's not just created that show, but it's created a mentality. For me, I'm living my life again in faith, strength, and courage. And it had been a while since I had done that. I had gotten so caught up in just living life and doing and producing. But now I realize there's some things that have to come back to me. And like we said last night, the value of the human soul, the value of a human being, those things are, and you can be as smart as you want. And I think I'm fairly intelligent, but sometimes we get lost in what we're doing. We get lost on the path.
Yeah, and we do, Travis. But you know what? You said we get lost, and then we find our way. And I think that's what really proves, dexterity in people. And I mean, hey, it is what it is. I mean, what are you gonna do? Like, you hear me talk about it a lot on those shows that we do, Warrior Mode and stuff. And I'm just like, hey, everything's not meant to be so perfect and so grand and so sweet. You wouldn't even be able to enjoy the sweetness if you didn't understand all the other stuff that you could actually really be feeling, the stuff that you've really gone through. I mean, you've gone through a lot. People, if you were to just have a show right now, if you start right now, we've already been on an hour and some change, almost an hour and a half went by like that.
Yep.
And if you were to really start talking about some of the things that you've really experienced in your life, it would take up another 3 hours on the show alone, just you. And that's not even including me going into some of the stuff I've been through. So you've been there, you've done it, you've come out of it. You just got finished explaining why you do what you do and how you've learned from those experiences where others say, oh, wow, I need this guy because I like that kind of attitude and I can use this kind of person or that kind of mentality in a higher position, and boom, it happens. But then you realize, whoa, that might not have been the proper approach. So yeah, it might have worked that time, but it might not work every time after that.
And it doesn't. And I told my team that when I came to London. I told the president of the company when I came to London to start managing these radio stations, I didn't make any changes. I didn't make program changes. I didn't fire. I didn't hire. I didn't do anything for months, because the old me would have showed up and fired everybody and hired all new people, and thinking that I could do it better. But that's not always the case. That's not always the case, because you need to know what's there. You need to know what you're working with. And it took getting to know the team that I had in place. It's like, I've got a really good foundation to work with. I just need to add some layers. And that's what I started doing last year. And that's what has turned the radio stations around and turned my professional career around in this sphere, and also opened up more doors from a consulting standpoint, because I don't go in and immediately start, cutting off heads and firing people and pushing people out the door, because you need to know what is broken and what's working. The things that are broken, get rid of them.
Right.
The things that are working, keep them in place, build on that, find the right pieces to bring in, because not everybody can replace someone.
Yeah.
I'm very.
You think you're going to make an upgrade, right? But it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't always work that way. So.
No, I'm with you, man. And again, I look at the time. I say, man, it's been an hour and a half. I I could go on, but I seen Leah. I want you to get back with your family, and I guess I'll start preparing to do the same. Yeah, my Leah, actually what had happened was that was my neighbor calling, and they're outside. They're like all mounted on this in the back of a open bed, a truck with back of a bed, trying to observe the fireworks. She was actually calling to see where my wife is, and what she was doing was she's actually taking a nap. So I thought, because I knew I left the front door open. I knew, with this area, this community's pretty tightly knit. So I think I was talking about it takes was that today, or I think it was last night show? It was last night. I said takes a village to raise one child. So that's how everybody loves and treats Leah in this neighborhood. So I knew she was fine, but I just wanted to make sure. So but yeah, they're out there hanging out, get ready to watch the bigger display. And this is really powerful. I just want to thank the audience that has been watching, the new people that chimed in. We do this every Monday. We will be back to
seven-ish.
Seven. She's across the street. She's hanging out with Aaron. So yeah, 7-ish to do the show, and we don't know how long we're going to go. You see, tonight we went an hour and a half. I can see it again. This show, Travis, is gaining some momentum. People are realizing that we're here. I want to thank what's the young lady's name that came in? Becky. Becky. Thanks, Becky, for giving up such, I don't know, personal information. And I mean, that kind of to get on the show and talk to people you don't even know, and to say the things that you said. We appreciate that. And that guy sitting next to me, on the screen there, sitting next to me, we care a lot. So please, everybody watching, you can have these conversations with us, and don't be surprised. We might actually come visit you and maybe even document, right, Travis? We might document what's going on with you, and just to make sure that the rest of the world, or at least more than just you out there, are aware of some of what you're experiencing. And we're going to do it in a professional manner, and with care. And the sincerity's there. We have our own stories to tell. We're not making this stuff up. We experience pain as well. So I don't know, but again, I don't want to keep you, and I don't want to keep the audience out there that feel the need to stay tuned in. We are simulcasting, by the way. This is also being recorded to YouTube live, as well as Facebook. So I want to thank the YouTube audience out there for watching, as well as the Facebook audience. And what do you have to say, Travis? I mean, we like to close with something. This is the Speak Your Mind show. So anything you want to let the audience and your particular audience, people there who are here for you to know what's going on in the future, or just a vote of confidence?
I was going to say just one of the things, Sunday night, Warrior Mode, 7 p.m., Bill Bean's YouTube channel. It will just be the Three Horsemen on Sunday night. Bill actually is going to be in upstate New York performing a deliverance and working with some families there. But we have Lon Strickler on, and we always love when Lon comes on Warrior Mode. It's always a good show. And so we definitely want to remind folks of that. I'm trying to think of what else is going on. Next Monday night we'll be back here. And the only thing I can say is this: we talked about this last night. We talk about the Bill's 3 pillars are faith, strength, and courage, and I think those are extremely important. I added a 4th one last night, and I don't know if it'll stick to where, and it doesn't have to. It's just it was on my mind and on my heart last night. Love. I remember. I think we need that 4th pillar, because we have, in the past several years, become such a divided society and culture. Hatred has become the norm, and I do think with every fiber of my being, we need to re-embrace love. And quite frankly, it's even very much a New Testament principle. Now abides faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. And I do think that we need to re-embrace love of self. And I know people, that freaks people out when you start talking about loving yourself. But if you will recall, there is a statement made by Christ in the New Testament. Love your neighbor as yourself. Well,
Yes.
you can't love your neighbor if you don't love yourself. And so therefore
Yeah.
there has to be a degree of self-love and self-worth and self-value. So love yourself, love your neighbor, love God, and just do honestly the best that you can to make this world a better place for ourselves, for his Leah, for my Leah, for my TJ, and for the generations to come.
And thank you, man. That, that hit home with me, and it always does, man. Because I listen, the tones in the voice, I pick them up. I pick them up, and that vibration that Bill always talks about, that frequency that he always talks about, you can feel it. It's a wavelength, and everything you said really hits home to me because, I've galvanized, I've embraced those things that you're talking about, that love and that those things that you need in order to start the path of healing, because a lot of people just are in pain. They don't realize it, or maybe they do realize it, but it's painful, right? You're not happy. You're walking around, your face is frowning. You don't even know why, but it's everything that you just said that helps you heal that pain. And then all of a sudden you start being happier and loving what you say, yourself. A lot of people, and what did you say? You said a lot of people don't understand the concept of loving yourself. But why is that? It's strange. Well, it's very strange.
Because unfortunately, Christianity, organized religion especially, has taught us to hate ourselves because of original sin and because that we are unworthy. And there is that component, but I'm sorry, I think what Christ says in the New Testament trumps some dogma. And if Christ tells me, love your neighbor as yourself, and that's what he said. He said, he was asked, what are the greatest commandments? He said, love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, with all thy mind. That's the first. The second is its equal. Love thy neighbor as thyself. And if you look at the 10 commandments, 4 of those are about our relationship with God and how we treat him. And then 6 of them are about how we treat our neighbors. Don't steal, don't kill, don't covet, don't lust. So we have to bring everything into perspective, and we have to have a love of a higher power. What you define that higher power to be.
Yep.
We have to have a love of that, and we have to have a love of ourselves. And once we love ourselves, once we accept ourselves, and once we stop beating ourselves up, once we stop hating ourselves, then I can love my neighbor, and I can love my enemy, and I can love this. But it starts with having to accept myself and all of my flaws and all of my screw ups and all of the ways that I am wrong. And that's what we have lost in organized religion, is that we don't embrace the flaws.
Yeah.
We shun them and we want to fix them, but we have to embrace them, because
we have to embrace them first.
We have to embrace them first. We have to embrace the fact that we are broken, that we are screwed up, mentally, psychologically, emotionally, spiritually. All of that is true.
Yes.
And once we embrace that and we start loving that, then we can start embracing and loving our neighbor and our enemy and the person across the street and the person that's a different political party or a different religious belief or in another country. All of those things come into play. But first, we honestly have to look in the mirror and say, I love Travis Short.
Right.
Derek Stroman has to look in the mirror and say, I love Derek Stroman. And not in a narcissistic love, but in the fact, I'm okay with who you are. Yeah, you got some screw ups. Yeah, you got some hang ups. Yeah, there's some things you work on. But you know what? I love you. Yeah. And once we do that, then, and you're being attacked again. First, it was the Millennium Falcon.
Do you hear
now it's like 1776 cannons.
Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, they're getting busy out there. Look, I used to be a big fan. I don't know. I'd rather be on this show for another hour and a half if it was up to me. But I know that it's getting late, and we're actually going to have to go to work tomorrow. Like this
we do. I know. I have today off. That's the first day in forever.
In a long time, right? That you had off the day. I mean, so things have changed.
Kids and I were shopping, eating, and we went into hibachi and sushi, and we already had that conversation. But
it's great. I'm so glad we were off today. Heck, it's almost going to be hard getting up to go to work tomorrow.
You are not lying.
But we got to do it anyway. So and everything that you said, I really want to emphasize that before we get off of here, because everything that you said is so true, and I can tell that the audience is paying attention, man. The numbers might not appear many right now, but I'm gonna tell you something, Travis. In and out, people are watching. They're gonna watch the show later. Next week's show is gonna be great. Actually, before we even get to next week's Paramedia Monday night show, I'm going to see, I don't know what you're doing this Thursday, depending on Thursday setup. I'm going to see if I can get you on the Speak Your Mind show at TV Free Baltimore. So there you go, audience. It hasn't 100% confirmed yet, but you see, I'm trying to give you guys as much Travis Short as possible. So I'm after him. And we're going to see if we can get him on the Speak Your Mind show again this Thursday, if at all possible. So keep hope alive. But I don't want to keep you much longer there, Travis, man. Love you, man. Tell the family I said good night, happy 4th, happy holiday, and have a great week. I will be in your inbox here very soon.
Sounds good, man. I love you. I love all the viewers. Thank you, guys. And as always, don't hesitate to reach out, private message on Facebook, anything like that. Matter of fact, I've got reached out last night after Warrior Mode, afraid of bothering Bill because their issue isn't that important, but it's important enough that they wanted to reach out to one of the horsemen. So I'll be reaching out to them for that.
Very important. I want to piggyback on that. I know we're trying to get off here, but I want to piggyback on that. What Travis said is very true. I know you guys hear us say it. We're not just making this up. We're not making this stuff up. There are people right now, and believe me, we won't say your names out, on the air or whatever if you don't want your name mentioned, but we are currently helping people, and we really do this. So, hey, don't, like he said, he just said it. Don't hesitate. Don't be afraid. Don't be bashful. If you want to stay, what's the word? Anonymous. Thank you. If you want to stay anonymous, that's fine as well. But reach out because we are here, if nothing else, than just discussion. Okay. So, all right. I appreciate you, Travis. I will see you soon. Like I said, I'll be blowing you up here soon, just to find out what's going on. And also, people out there, look out for part 2 in episode 1, which we plan on releasing next Monday depending on what time, hopefully before our Paramedia show on next Monday. All right. So,
or we could do a watch party on Paramedia Activity.
Yeah, but I couldn't set it up. What happened to the watch party feature?
I don't know. I haven't tried one in a while. Do you not? Is it not an option anymore?
Nobody's doing it anymore. It's not an option. It's not on there. We need to
look into that, because that would be cool. We could do a watch party and do Q&A.
Yeah, that's what I really wanted to do. So maybe I'll look into that. If you don't mind taking a peek at it yourself, see if you can find it.
I'm sure I'll find out.
All right. Love you, Travis. I'll let you go, brother. Have a good night. All right. See you.
Bye.
So there you have it. Another great episode of Paramedia Activity with myself and my guy, Travis Short. It was a great show, and thanks everybody for watching. Take heed to what we're saying. Again, it's not us up here just on your social media, Facebook page or your YouTube channel, just running our mouths, because we can do that without going live. So just keep that in mind. Give us a shout from time to time. Make sure you stay tuned for the next episode of the Paramedia Activity show here on this channel, and our Warrior Mode, Bill B's Warrior Mode, every Sunday night on YouTube. All you have to do is Google that. Don't forget to watch us at TV Free Baltimore every Thursday night, also for the Speak Your Mind show. It sounds like a lot. We do a lot. We are here. We will remain in your faces, and good night to all.